She was building a quiet future with a man who swore his past was closed forever. Then, in the fluorescent aisles of a grocery store, a woman who was supposed to be dead met her eyes. One word changed everything. Love, it seemed, had been constructed on a grave that was never filled.
Hello, my friends. I am Olivia, and this is Olivia's Love Stories. I hope you enjoy this story.
I used to believe peace came from certainty, from knowing who you were going to sleep beside, what keys jingled at the door at night, which future you were walking toward without looking back. My need, though I didn't name it back then, was safety. Not the dramatic kind, but the gentle kind that hums beneath your days and lets you breathe. My fiancé, Daniel Harper, was that hum. Calm voice, steady hands. He loved black coffee and hated surprises. When he talked about his late wife, it was with a careful stillness, like someone touching a bruise they'd learned to live with. She had died 5 years earlier, he said. A sudden illness, no family nearby, just grief, sealed and stacked neatly in a box he never opened. I told myself that loving a widower meant respecting the silence around his past. I told myself that his grief had shaped him into someone kinder, more deliberate, someone safe. That morning, I went to the grocery store because we were out of milk, and I needed something normal to do. The automatic doors breathed open, releasing the cold smell of citrus cleaner and overripe fruit. Carts clattered. A child cried somewhere near the cereal aisle. Life moved forward, indifferent and loud. I was comparing prices on almond milk when I felt it. That odd sensation of being watched. Not curiosity, recognition. I looked up. She stood at the end of the aisle, one hand resting on a cart, the other gripping a phone so tightly her knuckles were pale. Dark hair pulled back, a faint scar near her eyebrow. I had seen that face before, not in person, but in a single photograph Daniel kept tucked inside a book on his shelf. A woman smiling beside him, younger, softer, undeniably loved. My heart didn't race at first. It stalled. This was impossible. Dead people don't stand under flickering lights choosing between whole and skim. She started walking toward me, slow, measured, as if the air itself had weight. With every step, the store seemed to quiet, the sounds blurring into a distant rush. I could hear my own breath, too loud, too fast. I wanted to move, but my feet felt rooted to the linoleum. When she stopped in front of me, I saw the fear in her eyes. Not shock, not confusion. Warning. She leaned in close, close enough that I could smell peppermint on her breath, close enough that the world narrowed to the space between us. Her lips barely moved, but her words landed like a blade. Run. And just then I heard Daniel's voice behind me, calling my name, warm, familiar, loving, while the woman who was supposed to be buried stared straight through me, trembling. Daniel's voice unraveled the moment. Olivia, did you find the milk? The woman's hand tightened on her cart. Her eyes flicked past me, just for a second, and the fear in them sharpened into something urgent, panic edged with calculation. Then she turned and walked away, fast, vanishing into the blur of shoppers and stacked boxes of cereal like she had never existed at all. My knees finally remembered how to work. I spun around. Daniel stood a few steps behind me, a basket looped casually over his arm, his coat still damp from the rain outside. He smiled, the same smile that had made me say yes when he slipped a ring onto my finger under a sky full of fireworks. "You look like you saw a ghost," he said lightly. The word hit harder than it should have. My mouth felt dry.
I thought I recognized someone. He tilted his head, studying my face the way he did when he sensed a storm but didn't yet see the clouds. Are you okay? I nodded too quickly. The hum of safety I'd built my life around had gone thin, like a wire stretched to its breaking point. Somewhere inside me, a quiet voice whispered, "Run," but I didn't know where to go, or from whom. We checked out in silence. The cashier chatted about weekend sales, her voice floating between us, absurdly normal. Daniel paid. He thanked her. He reached for my hand as we walked out, and I let him take it, even though my skin prickled at the contact. In the parking lot, rain tapped softly against the asphalt, 1,000 tiny warnings. I glanced around, half expecting to see her watching us from between cars. Nothing. Just gray sky and the steady procession of people loading groceries into trunks. On the drive home, Daniel talked about dinner plans, about a new restaurant opening downtown. His voice was calm, even. Too even. I watched his reflection in the windshield, the way his jaw tightened when he thought I wasn't looking. "Daniel," I said, choosing my words like stepping stones across deep water. "What was your wife's name?"
His fingers flexed on the steering wheel. Just once.
"Claire," he said. "Why?" "No reason," I lied. The word tasted bitter. "I just realized I never asked." He nodded, eyes fixed on the road. "It's not my favorite topic." "I know." I swallowed. "I'm sorry." That night, sleep wouldn't come. The house felt different, as if the walls were listening. Daniel slept beside me, his breathing slow and measured, one arm draped across my waist in a familiar claim. I stared at the ceiling, replaying the woman's face, the urgency in her whisper. "Run." I slipped out of bed and padded to the living room. The clock glowed an accusing 2:17 a.m. I told myself I was being ridiculous as I opened Daniel's laptop, the screen lighting my face in cold blue. I wasn't snooping, I insisted. I was looking for reassurance. I typed her name, Claire Harper, into the search bar. The results loaded slowly, each second stretching thin. The first link was an obituary. The photo took my breath away. It was her. But the date beneath it didn't match the story Daniel had told me. And just as I leaned closer, heart pounding, I heard a soft sound behind me, the quiet click of a door opening, and Daniel's reflection appeared on the darkened screen, watching me. "Olivia?" His voice was calm, but there was something unreadable on the tilt of his head. "What are you doing up?" I swallowed hard, my throat tight. I just wanted to check something. About Claire? My voice was smaller than I intended, brittle like it could shatter at any moment. Daniel stepped closer, the glow from the laptop reflecting in his eyes, but there was a distance there now, a barrier I hadn't seen before. "Claire?" he repeated, almost too softly. "Why are you looking her up?" I hesitated. Should I tell him I saw her at the grocery store? That she whispered a warning I didn't understand? That I suddenly didn't know what reality I was living in? But the words lodged in my throat. I saw someone today," I said, finally, the words tumbling out in a rush. "Someone who looked exactly like her. And she said, run." Daniel's expression froze. His hand hovered near the keyboard, as if reaching for something but unsure what. Then, slowly, he sat down opposite me, hands clasped in front of him. His calm demeanor was gone, replaced by a gravity that made the room feel smaller, heavier. "Olivia," he said, his voice low, deliberate, "there's something I need to tell you, something I should have told you a long time ago." I braced myself. My chest tightened. Every instinct in my body screamed at me, but I couldn't look away. I needed the truth,
no matter how it shattered the life I thought I had.
Daniel took a deep breath. Claire, she's not dead.
The words hit me like ice water. My hand flew to my mouth. What do you mean?
I mean, he continued, voice breaking slightly despite his effort to remain composed, that she disappeared years ago. She wanted to vanish from my life for reasons I can't explain yet. I've kept it a secret, thinking it was safer for everyone. I never told anyone, especially not you, because I thought it would ruin what we have. I stared at him, the world tilting. My mind screamed questions I couldn't form. Why is she alive? Why warn me? Why now? The laptop's screen glowed between us, the obituary still open. Everything I thought I knew, everything I had trusted about the life Daniel and I were building, felt suddenly like a fragile house of cards. And then my phone buzzed in my pocket. A message from an unknown number. "You shouldn't trust him. He's dangerous. Run before it's too late." I froze. My pulse thundered in my ears. The room seemed to close in around me, and Daniel's gaze was heavy with guilt and something darker, fear. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, to flee. But the words that had fallen from Claire's lips earlier, run, echoed inside me, a warning I couldn't ignore. I looked up at Daniel, searching his face for the man I thought I knew, for the calm, loving fiancé I had fallen in love with. But the man staring back at me was not entirely familiar. And in that moment, I realized that my ordinary life, the life I had been so desperate to hold on to, was over. Because the woman in the grocery store wasn't a ghost, and neither was the secret Daniel had buried. I didn't wait. Heart hammering, I grabbed my coat and my keys. Daniel rose, reaching for me, but I sidestepped, my hands trembling. "I need answers," I said, voice sharper than I intended, "and I need them now, from both of you." He hesitated, then followed me to the car. The rain had stopped, leaving the world slick and reflective. Neon lights shimmered on the wet asphalt, and I imagined every shadow could be watching, waiting. The text on my phone burned in my mind. "Run before it's too late." "Olivia," Daniel started, "I can explain everything. You have to believe me." I shook my head. I don't know what to believe anymore. "Claire, why did you warn me?" The seat beside me creaked. I wasn't alone. Claire stepped out from the shadows, her dark hair plastered from the earlier rain, her eyes wide but fierce. "Because," she said, voice urgent, "he will hurt you if you stay. I thought disappearing would protect everyone, but he's not the man you think he is." Daniel's face paled. He opened his mouth, but Claire's gaze cut through him like steel. "I trusted you to stay away." "I never wanted to come back, but you—" Her eyes flicked to me. "You need to get out, now." Everything collided in my mind. The whispered warning, the mysterious message, the sudden, suffocating fear. I glanced between them, and the calm, loving Daniel I knew was gone, replaced by someone I didn't recognize. The weight of deception pressed down like stone. I need to go," I whispered. My hands were shaking too much to start the car. My mind screamed at me to run, and finally I listened. Claire stepped closer. "Drive. Don't look back. He can't follow if you move fast." I turned the key, engine roaring to life, and for a moment, time seemed to stretch. Daniel's voice called after me, pleading, warning, or threatening, I couldn't tell which, but the echo didn't matter. I pulled into the street, tires splashing through puddles, heart racing in a rhythm I couldn't control. The grocery store, the rain, the shadows,
They all blurred behind me as I drove.
And in the rearview mirror, I caught one final glimpse. Claire standing there, watching me leave, a silent sentinel of a past no one wanted to acknowledge. I didn't know where I was going, only that I had to run. The man I loved, the life I believed in, the quiet peace I craved, they were gone. And the truth I had stumbled upon had a name. Claire Harper was alive, and so was the danger she had tried to protect me from.
I drove faster, every instinct screaming that my ordinary life had been a lie. And for the first time in my life, I understood that survival was not about safety. It was about running toward the unknown, guided only by fear, instinct, and a whisper I would never forget. Run. The night stretched endlessly ahead, dark and uncertain, and I knew this was only the beginning.